welcome to this episode of YouTube where I've entitled it Face Off, and that's because we're seeing a little bit of that behavior. Not a lot, but whenever we go in with the wolves, we have a tendency to see a little bit of guarding behavior, and so Luna and Aiden are doing a little bit of face off. Aiden was actually greeting me. Luna came up and tried to do a little bit of obnoxious submission. Bold circled behind him. He got a little nervous. He did a little threat display. And then Luna decided that it was probably best to just submit. And so we're working on that, trying to get Luna to relax and to be okay to submit sometimes to whether it be wolf care staff or whether it be Aiden. That's hard for Luna because she wants to be a dominant female all the time. And it's important that she has calm energy because her anxiety and her obnoxious submission can create just a little bit of conflict. So every individual wolf has got their own personality, has their own kind of idiosyncrasies that we need to manage and need to understand. And Bolt's is no different. We have talked in the past about Bolt's having a little bit of a fly anxiety issue. We also know he's got a significant camera issue. So as you can see, the camera's actually across the enclosure. We're using a long lens, but as soon as he made eye contact with that camera, you can see his ears drop. And so that's very, very important. Eye contact is dominance. And so we were able to capture a little bit of cell phone video that wasn't as intimidating. And here's some howling from the pack. And just to demonstrate that it's not just the exhibit pack that has a unique howl, here's some footage of Grizzer howling. This was not taken recently. This was a March 2013. So when we watch the pack, and we're actually interacting with the pack, we do know that we have a little bit of possessiveness. Certain wolves want to greet first by right or by rank, and that can cause a little bit of tension between individuals. So we are best determining how the pack is doing by watching the surveillance video or by having behavioral observations. And the behavioral observations are typically the first week of the month, and these are called Night at the Museums, where people can come and help interpret the behavior, watch the wolves learn how to record behavior, analyze that behavior, and really give us a better sense of how the pack's getting along. And so we, like I said, when we do wolf care every morning, 365 days a year, the stimulus is great because there's meds, which involves food. There's, like I say, greeting, which involves a social rank hierarchy, and all those things that make for wolves to be a little bit more intense with each other, where it's nice to watch footage of just them interacting. And here is, again, our sand pile, which we dumped in July, really for the purpose of just this, giving them stimuli, giving them things to interact with, and certainly has done its job. We're going to be moving that here in the next couple of weeks because we need to be able to open this gate and be able to have access for snow removal. So the sand pile is going to be dissipated throughout the enclosure, but in this time of the year, especially when it's hot and the wolves have started to grow their winter coats, they need some relief, and that's one of the benefits of this sand pile. So like I said, how do I tell if the pack is getting along? it certainly has a lot to do with interaction, and it has a lot to do with tail postures, and it has a lot to do with things like this, where Luna just feels good to dig in the dirt, and this is not only her just finding a cool place to lie down. It's kind of an exciting thing to do, and for us, it gives us an idea that she's pretty actively digging with those front feet, and yet she's not digging with both front feet. So that tells me that she's not supported as well by her back leg. Typically when they start getting really excited, they start, putting all their weight on their back leg and start digging with both front legs. And so not only is this behavior, like I said, people just say, oh, she's digging in the dirt. But for us, it means a lot more. So we look at everything from the standpoint of behavioral, from the standpoint of pack interactions, from the standpoint of medical, from the standpoint of, external stimuli. All those things are really addressed. And so, like I said, it's an exciting thing for Luna. It's a cool spot. And then she starts to get excited, and here she goes to the double dig. So, like I said, maybe it's not as much of a problem, or maybe it is, and she just got kind of excited and positioned herself to do that. So, like I said, here comes Aiden, and so we have something called an approach. We watch how other wolves approach, what their ear posture is. Aiden's got his ears pricked, turned sideways, which usually means a little bit of uncertainty. And again, Luna's getting a little unstable here, getting pretty excited and digging, and that makes for a little bit of excitability, and that excitability means that Aiden's going to, typically as the pack leader, try to calm it a little bit. Now he does tail wag, and that's kind of an exciting little bit of a greeting there. But notice how he's looking up. The wind is always a factor with captive wolves. In the wild, wolves are living in packs, and they're having adjacent wild packs coming and going. And when it's windy, you can't hear. You can't hear howling. You can't smell. Sounds and scents are circling all over, and not really sure what direction they're coming from. And I'm sure these forested wolves have had more than one, at least here in captivity, more than one tree come down. So whenever there's wind, there is a negative association with that. So that's something that can also trigger a little bit of redirected aggression within the pack. So Aiden just did a little bit of a sniff. Luna has a hot spot on her back right leg, did a little bit of a sniff. We've been treating her with antibiotics and powder, and then kind of walked off. And Luna, like I said, is enjoying having that sand pile. So it certainly was worth it. $120 for a pile of sand. It's probably the most entertaining things the wolves have had all summer, and especially as the dog days of August really continue. Although we're not facing it much. Today we're 78 or 79 degrees. Tomorrow it's supposed to be a high of 58. So this is the yo-yo season. One day it's hot, and the next day, you forgot to put 2 or 3 layers on. Fall is coming, but we still have a lot to do. We're going to obviously be working on the building. We met with a plumbing contractor, so we have the design for the UV filter that we're going to establish all of the logistics for it and get everything plumbed and ready to go. And as soon as the ice thaws, we'll have the UV filter in place, and that means limiting the algae issues that we've had here. Going to do some rock work as well, and try to get the pond a little bit more conducive for wolves climbing in and out of the pond. And obviously by keeping it cooler, by having no algae where the water doesn't discolor and warm up, that's going to help tremendously for the wolves. So like I said, we got a lot going on, a lot to do. And one thing that we're hoping to do is as we get into the winter and get ready for pups, we are obviously dedicating surveillance cameras to the pups, so people can watch them on the website. But I also would like to get surveillance that's got a better audio. The audio just here has been turned off because it's just so scratchy and so much wind that we don't have really good audio to pick up on things, especially when they're howling or when there are other circumstances going on. And so that is part of our winter project, is to look at the networking and make sure all our surveillance cameras are up and running and that we have adequate webcams for the pups as we move into the 2016 pup season. So you can see here Aiden having a good time. You can see Luna running a little bit of the limp on her leg, but she's doing pretty well. So, and as you can see, the pack is pretty much in sync and doing quite well. We go over to Grizzer's world, and Grizzer has a much thicker winter coat than the exhibit pack, which means he is getting hot on these 80 and 90 degree days that we had the first week of August was just tremendously hard for Grizzer. So we want to make sure that he's got everything available to help him cool off. And so how do we do that? Obviously sand is a real important part of it. His den is kept with, still have some wood chips, but we're starting to put more sand in it because we're having less bugs. Certainly sand holes throughout the enclosure in shaded areas. Wetting down that sand several times a day will help keep it cool and will help keep him, cool off. And he does have access to two different ponds. The east side enclosure has got the big pond where Shadow and Malik originally were, and that's a much bigger area, quite a bit deeper. He can swim in that. But in this front pack holding area, you see right behind him, we have a kind of a small wading pool, and this is really what Grizzer likes to do. He's not a big swimmer, and what he likes to do is go in up to his belly and just kind of splash the water around and wade. So it was the pond was drained just yesterday. This is a smaller pond, so it's much easier for us to clean the debris. And you can see here the drain got fixed, which we had some trouble with that in the past, and the drain is now repaired. So now we just can flush all this algae and dirt down and refill it, and it's nice and clear and cool. We are still advertising the September Wolf Watch, so if you want to check out our website at wolf.org and look under programs, you will see a night at the museum, which gives us an opportunity to see firsthand how this pack interacts and the dynamics between the individuals. Thanks for watching.